Hi, it's Bissong, and this is a Thursday morning. What have I done today? I have, done some exercise. I've been on a space on Twitter, and now I'm recording this podcast, to keep up with my daily messages to, people who listen, wisen men, and people all around the world, that come in contact with my messages. Of course, I might not be able to do it every day, but for most days when I can, I would like to be able to drop, messages. I believe there are a lot of things that are on my head. I don't want to die with them. I've dropped all of these things, and when I leave this world, these are the things that keep on speaking for me. Yesterday I had this, I call it an epiphany, and what came to me was that you are building a bank of knowledge that people, generations to come, are going to use. You have to be careful about those things that you drop out there. You have to be careful about those things that people get to listen to from you. You are going to present these things to the world as, a form of God's message to the world through you. And I said, So I have to be very careful about the things I bring out here. And the things I discuss on Wisen, the Wisen podcast, Wisen with Bissong, has to be things that are truly my convictions and truly provide value to those who are listening. So this is not an entertainment podcast. It's not to entertain you, to make you feel good, or to make you have a good time. Yes, it might. It might be something you listen to when you're bored. But I would also like it to be something you listen to when you really want to gain wisdom or gain knowledge. When you want to gain a perspective, a fresh new perspective to things that are happening in your life, especially as a man. Of course, anybody can view the podcast, including women. But I'm saying more specifically for men, because those are the people I target, spiritual wise men. You need to come with the mindset that you want to learn something, or you want to, open your mind to gaining a fresh perspective to things. And also, you might find some things that agree with you. So you might hear something I will say that you say, exactly. That's why I did at the reason and before. And you might hear something I say that you'll be like, no. And you might hear something and it might be, yes. Why didn't I ever think of this? Whatever it is that you get to hear, hold it tight. These are my ways of representing God in my community. Today, I want to talk about building like God. How does God build? Really, how does God build? So I was trying to, do some contemplations on how God builds. And then one thing kept on hammering in my head. There is a pattern. He sets things in place so that they would work on their own. God is the smartest worker. And how do you know God is a smart worker, not a hard worker? Is the fact that He created things to be by virtue of the word. It's more like this is what is in my mind and I'm creating it to reality. And the mind of God creates things to reality. Not any deep hard work He has to do to create things. It is His essence that He breathes forth. What is Him that He breathes forth? Look at how He created man. He breathed, the breath of life into the man. That breathing of the breath of life is God just replicating Himself. When you replicate yourself, it's something so easy. That's why I believe that in every work you do, it has to be a replication of self. It has to be replication of yourself. It has to be you. That's why they say, if you do something that you love, or if you do something that is really you, that is easy for you to do, that is your strength to do, you never work a day in your life. And that was gotten from God. Let us walk with me through how God, has worked. Look at all His plans, for creation. He set He said he created the sun and the moon, the sun to rule in the day and the moon to rule in the night. And he was happy that it was created animals, some to eat flesh, some to eat the grass. So as the grass is growing so big, that same grass that is growing is feeding the animals. And those animals too, that are being fed by the grass can also be eaten by the animals which are carnivorous. I'm giving you different examples now. Can't you see that God has designed a system for everyone to be fed? He has also designed a system to control the population. Some people will die if some people are not fed. Some animals that cannot find food, maybe they grow old to some level in age, they die. When they die, they decompose and become manure to the ground, and the ground becomes more fertile, and the things planted or the things on the ground begin to grow more again to feed. And it's like there's a circle. And at the end of the day, he created different things. He created, the skies. He said, okay, there'll be stars. These stars will provide light. Okay. So this sea now, you have a lot of water, right? You have to shift a little bit for the land. What will happen now is that this water, would be converted later on to rain, and we'll still get rain. And God created all of these things. And then he put Adam. After he had created them, he brought Adam. He said, oh yeah, you come. I want you to be the manager of all of these things. Oversee these systems and make sure that they work finely. But there's one thing you should understand in all of these things that has been put in place, is that God uses what they call systems. He also brought rules, guiding rules. You say, okay, yes, eat of every fruit in the garden, but of the fruit of good and evil, do not eat. The fruit in the middle of the garden, do not eat that fruit. These are rules, guidelines. What does that tell you about God? God is a person who understands organization and systems. Why didn't he every day come and say, okay, in the morning he will come and on light, in the night he will come and on moon? But he created them that they would work with each other simultaneously. Look at how well ordered our solar system is. Beyond our solar system, look outside our solar, look at the whole universe and all the order that is in the whole universe. All of these things point to a God who is systemic. All of this points to a God who is organized. And as a man, you are supposed to take a leaf from God, in building your life by building systems. Look at how we have been putting out this knowledge since the past few days. We have spoken about, for those of you who follow me on my YouTube page, you have seen me speak about the roles of a man, the things that the man should provide. You have seen me speak about how to find peace in this chaotic world. You have seen me speak about role 50-50, the role of men and women in families. You see me speak about how to be an ethereal man. And when I spoke about how to be an ethereal man, I'm bringing you into a cognizance of who it is that you have to be as a man. I'm telling you that for you to be an immortal man, for you to be a man that has an image and has legacies that live beyond him, there are certain things you have to imbibe for yourself. There are certain guidelines that you have to draw in, certain fashionable ideas that you have to draw in and say, okay, these are the things that are going to describe me. And after that, and I brought up another one. I say, okay, if a man is these things, or is trying to be these things, one thing that God noticed about Adam when he was in the garden was like, this one, when this man, they do this work alone, I don't think it is right for him to be alone, because he just looks like he's the only species here, of this level. He's on this mission of taking care of the garden, or making sure that all the systems that God has created, that they all work perfectly. It is not good that he should be alone. And that necessitated the creation of the woman to help the man. And that's the reason why I did the podcast. I gave out the message on finding the queen, or picking the queen, because for a man to be a king, he has to have a queen by his side. You cannot just have anybody. You cannot just have anyhow woman, by your side. It has to be a queen. And that is why it is important that all of these things, we watch or listen to these things, and follow the patterns, because they will teach us a lot of things if you follow this series. And today I'm talking about systems. Even the arrangement of the series is systems. But more importantly, I'm talking about how would a man who has all these things, like Adam did, he had a job, or he has a thing, he's growing for himself, he's an ethereal man, he has a queen. What would make his life most easy? It will be systems. Systems are more than important. We cannot overemphasize the importance of systems. So in everything you do, you have to do it like God. God created systems. God knew that if he's going to drop man in the garden, the man is going to eat. So he created what? Food for man to eat. Man will eat, and then he has a complex system in his body, digestive system. He sends food down, and then it's done, and then he excretes it. And then the feces also have the job that they do in the whole scheme of things. Why is it that everything is self-sufficient? God created things that it will be running on its own without him. Even if he's the source of all life. He's the one that sets things in motion. He's the unmoved mover. And that should be your way to analyze or to approach your work and everything. You have to have systems for work. These days I wake up and the first thing I do is to start moving my body. I wake up, I start taking a walk, or I just maybe in the house, I start maybe doing some push-ups. Because I know that if I stay longer in bed or I move around in a sluggish manner, I would not be able to get myself into the momentum of doing things for the day. We have to create systems around us that help us to do things easily. For those of us who were part of the ETC, when we started the effective texting class, for those of us who were on Wising Men, the community, and when we were still doing the effective texting class, what was very particular about that whole setup was how we had a system. We had a system for getting the people in, from seeing the content on social media and then coming in, then to the group, and then from the general group, then to the effective texting group. And after the classes have taken place, we have a person who is in charge of teaching. We have a person who is in charge of, getting the students that are going to be taught. We now also have a special group for those people who have been taught before in the ETC, so that they can have a kind of support for each other called the support group. All of these things are systems. And the truth is that all of these things can work on their own. Look at all the things we know now. Automation is taking place. This is us becoming more like God. God has automated the whole universe. You can predict how it's going to work. Why? Because he has created it in a predictable system. That's why you can wake up by 8 o'clock and you know that the sun is out. And if the sun is not out, you know there's an issue. You know that something has happened. There's an eclipse or there's something. Say if you wake up by 8 a.m., say sun go day outside, nothing they want tell you. Say by 8 for night, everywhere done dark. Nothing they want tell you. Well, it depends on where you are in the world, of course. We know about the solstice, equinox, and all of that, and longer day, shorter night, and all of that stuff. But you get the gist. There are systems. How are there not systems in your life? I think systems are so important that sometimes I can slow down on most things because I feel like I don't have the right systems to bring them to fore. Sometimes I've noticed that I'm also a person that can do things very, very quickly. And I've always had an issue with creating operational systems. But I know that systems need to be created. For some of us who are very impulsive, want to do things as the spirit they move, as our body they ginger, want to do things, we forget sometimes to create systems. Sometimes it's good for you to get moving, but you have to create systems at the end of the day. Systems that can exist without you. So even when you are doing your work, you have to create systems to do your work. You don't just work to eat. You work to build on systems that keep on rewarding you. So people don't understand certain things. Is that saying, okay, now I was going to Ibuka Woshika, she's this person that she is, of course, a CEO of a what do you call this? A furniture production company. I think a manufacturing company. She's also has also been a chairman of the board of First Bank. I don't know if she's still the one. And she has been on many boards. So she's a person that is actively engaged in a lot of ways, but she's still a wife and a mother. And according to her, she has set up systems to make sure that the things that are required of her as a wife and mother are not lacking, even if she's going to be doing what she's doing. She has also set up systems to make sure that, do you think that the people that are running multinationals are doing it by themselves? They have to make every call. They have to see everybody. They can't. They have to set up systems that can report to them. You have to set up systems in your life too that make life easier. Work smart like God. You know, everything you're doing. No, you don't just work in, you work on. So many people are working in their life. They're not working on their life. They're doing a lot of things. But there are no systems around put in place for certain things. Now, for example, Mark Zuckerberg says he wears one kind of shirt. Why? To reduce the decision-making process of what he needs to wear every day. That is one less decision to make as a decision maker on a large scale. That is one less decision to make. And the truth is that at some point, I have seen that defining the kind of dressing I wear makes it easier for me to pick. Because I know that when I go to my wardrobe, most of my clothes are the same. They're going to at least communicate the same idea. So I have a lot of kaftans. I usually wear a lot of kaftans. So if I go to my wardrobe, I can pick one kaftan and wear, and I know it looks good because most of my kaftans have maybe not the same design, but similar designs, and it's the way I look when I'm wearing them. So I already know how I'm going to look. I'm not so conscious of, do I wear the green? And I'm even trying to reduce that. I'm trying to reduce the amount of colors of kaftans I have so that it will be just be white and black. So that once I get to my wardrobe, I'm just wearing white and black. Because that's a system I've created to reduce the amount of time I spend, considering what to wear. It will surprise you the amount of hours some people use to consider what to wear to a particular occasion. So, personally, I've set some things around my life. I'm not saying that I even have my systems in place. In fact, a lot of systems still need to be built. You need to set, okay, how do I make sure that my clothes are ready? My laundry, what time do I do my washing? What time of the week do I do the cleaning of my house? These are systems. And if you can't do it personally, you can set people up to do it. You can find ways by which all of these things work. That they are routines. That they already have their fixed way of working. You have to create systems in everything. God created systems. You have to build like God. When God came, why is that the first thing he did was let there be light? Because there was darkness. Okay, I won't work for you. The first thing I have to create is light. That is systematic. Why didn't you just come and say, okay. In this whole darkness, let me find a place and create man. He said, for there to be man, which is my goal, which is where I'm going to, there has to first of all be an environment for him. First of all, that environment has to have light. Let there be light. And light came. He said, man I'm creating will not be an aquatic animal. It will not depend solely on living in water or with water. Though it will have use for water, and water would form a lot of the things that make his living conducive. But if it's because of that, I'm going to shift the water away, and create the land, and gave a lot of designs. He said, okay, this man is going to eat food, create food, and this, then he created some animals too. These people are going to show him some level of life. This is going to form nature. It's going to form what they call a food cycle. There's a name they call that thing. Ecological cycle. There's a name. I think it's ecological cycle. What that tells you is that this person is a master planner and a master thinker. Planned everything in place. So you as a man, you know that, okay, right now, I am going to do certain things for myself. I want to gain a skill in so and so, because this skill makes every other thing easier. This is what we call the one thing. And those of you who have read the book, The One Thing, you understand that everything is not important on the same magnitude at the same time. Some things are more important than some other things at a particular point in time. So you have to set certain things in place. Now, the thing is that there are some things that make every other thing easier to do. So if, for example, you say you want to build a kind of empire, there has to be something you start. What is your first move? The first move usually is the thing that when you do it, it makes it easier for every other thing to be done. Okay, you want to build an empire, what should be the first move? Should I gain knowledge first? Okay, maybe it's knowledge. Okay, I go and gain knowledge first. What can be my first product? That if I have this product on ground, every other thing becomes easier. Maybe my first product has to be free content. I put out content. I establish myself as an authority in a certain field, so that by the time I start selling things that are aligned with that field, people do not see me as an alien pushing a product with them. They see me as a person that is competent enough to push a product with them. That is also a system that I have set up, that this and this and this will follow, and these are patterns that will make them follow. And then I'm not saying, okay, this is my book I want to sell. I read this book. Maybe I want to sell a book. I write a book. I say, okay, this book is well written. Okay, good. What problem does this solve? This is the problem it solves. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. We have a launching that sells a bulk of this book, and then we use the other money from the launching, to maybe promote the book. Sell the book on other means of other forms of promotion. Let people get in affiliates to sell the book, for example. And we put it on an automated system that I do not need to be the one to be physically selling the book. And every time people can easily just pay and get the book in soft copy. And I do not need to have any extra money to spend as the sales of my book grows. And then, no marginal cost as you are scaling, as you are increasing your sales. No marginal cost. At that point in time, you are thinking that, this is so nice, because you have created a system that can make every other thing easy. You also have to have systems for everything. You have to have systems for hygiene, like I've said. You have to have systems for dressing. You have to have relationship systems. That's just like what I told you about picking the queen. Those principles are sort of systems that you have set up as guidelines, just like the 10 Commandments, just like the rules given to Adam not to eat the fruit. These things are guidelines. And these systems help you to filter whoever is coming into your life. So now, at this point in time, you do not need to do so much work to decipher who a person that's coming to your life is. Once you have checked with these things, you have to have them already. So some people are finding it difficult to decide who they are going to date or who they are going to marry. They have a lot of options. The truth is that if many of them had clear-cut standards, boundaries, systems about who they wanted and what they wanted to pick, they will not be suffering this. They would not be suffering it. Many people that are suffering many of these things do not have relationship systems. That's why they find themselves entangled with a lot of crazy people. If you tell yourself that if a guy is not coming to me intentionally, I'm not going to let him have access, it means that creating that boundary already means that the only people that you have to deal with are the people who are intentional about you. It reduces your work drastically. Putting out systems would help you in different ways. So you as a man to say, if a woman is coming to me, she has to have certain things in place. If you tell yourself that I'm not going to marry a woman who is not young, it means that once any woman that is coming to you that is not young, you already know that she is not going to fit into that place. You know that, okay, this is the place this woman is going to fit into. A lot of things come up, that position you to make a very clear decision, on what it is, that you want. And it makes the decision-making process so easy, because everything is so set out. These things will now begin to filter itself. So you have to create systems for your life. You have to start working with systems in everything. Work with systems in your business, work with systems in your work. Even if you're working, for someone, you're doing a 9 to 5. You create up systems that make your work easy to deliver. So work becomes harder when there are no systems around it to make it easier to do. So that's just how it is. So we need to work on creating proper systems. So for every guy, this is a very important advice. For every guy, it's important that we take our time, look into our lives, look at those places that we can put certain things in place that makes every other thing easy, that makes things work by themselves, So systems are very important. You have to create systems for everything. A wizened man, an ethereal man, an immortal man is a systemic man. He's a man who builds like God. Stay wizened.